There is a version of you that exists only in the future. That version exercises, writes the thing, sends the email, starts the project, has the difficult conversation, and every single day, you agree to meet them there, tomorrow, next week, when things settle down, when you feel ready. But here's what no one tells you about that future version of yourself. To your brain, right now, in this moment, they are a stranger, not metaphorically, neurologically, and understanding that one fact explains almost everything about why you keep getting in your own way. In 2011, neuroscientist Hal Hershfield conducted a study that quietly changed how psychologists think about procrastination. He showed participants brain scans while they thought about themselves, and then while they thought about strangers. Then he asked them to think about their future selves. The results were striking. When people imagined their future selves, their brains lit up in the same regions activated when thinking about other people, not themselves, strangers. Your brain does not experience your future self as you. It experiences them as someone else entirely. Someone you feel vaguely responsible for. The way you might feel responsible for a distant acquaintance, but not urgently, not personally. And so when you say, "I'll do it later," you are not making a promise to yourself. You are making a promise to a stranger. And we all know how we treat promises made to strangers. Behavioral economists call it present bias. The tendency to assign disproportionate value to what is available right now, comfort, distraction, relief, over what would be valuable later, growth, progress, accomplishment. It sounds irrational, but the brain isn't being irrational. It is being perfectly logical according to its own design. The reward of rest is immediate, certain, tangible. You feel it now. The reward of discipline is deferred, uncertain, abstract. It exists somewhere in a future your brain cannot fully inhabit. And when the brain runs that calculation, concrete now versus abstract later, concrete wins. Almost every time. Psychologist George Ainsley called this hyperbolic discounting, the way the perceived value of a reward drops sharply the further away it is in time. Not gradually, sharply, like a cliff edge. Which means the version of you who finally sits down to write, or train, or build. They don't feel like a better you. They feel like a sacrifice. A cost paid today for a benefit your brain cannot fully believe in. This is not laziness. This is the geometry of how human motivation actually works. Here is the part that cuts deeper. Most people assume they procrastinate because a task feels difficult, boring, or overwhelming. Sometimes that's true. But research by psychologist Fuchsia Siroz suggests that procrastination is less about time management and more about emotion regulation. We delay not because the task is hard. We delay because starting it would force us to confront something uncomfortable about ourselves. The person who postpones writing the book isn't afraid of writing. They're afraid of writing badly, of producing something that confirms the quiet suspicion they've carried for years, that they aren't as capable as they need to believe they are. The person who delays going to the gym isn't afraid of exercise. They're afraid of the distance between who they are today and who they'd have to become, and the sustained discomfort that crossing that distance requires. Procrastination at this level is not avoidance of a task, it is avoidance of an identity. And that makes it one of the most psychologically complex behaviors a human being can engage in. Dressed up, every day, as simply not getting around to it. There is one final mechanism worth naming. Psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky identified what they called the planning fallacy. Our systematic tendency to underestimate how long tasks will take, how much effort they'll require, and how many obstacles will appear. We imagine the future as a clean, uncluttered version of the present. Fewer distractions, more energy, more clarity, more time. So when you say, "I'll do it later," your brain is not just deferring. It is constructing a fantasy, a version of the future where conditions are better, you are better, and the thing somehow feels easier than it does right now. That future never arrives. Because the future, when it becomes the present, comes with its own noise, its own fatigue, its own reasons to wait. Later is not a time. Later is a story. And it is the most expensive story most people will ever tell themselves. The conventional advice is to stop procrastinating. Build systems, use timers, remove friction, optimize your environment. And those things work at the surface level. But the deeper resolution requires something different. It requires making your future self feel real, not as a motivational exercise, as a genuine act of psychological reacquaintance. Hal Hershfield's research found that when people were shown age-progressed images of themselves, their face, older, carrying the weight of the years that will pass, they made significantly better long-term decisions, not because they were scared, but because the future self stopped being an abstraction. They became someone worth keeping a promise to. The philosopher Parfit spent decades wrestling with the question of personal identity, whether the you of today and the you of 20 years from now are even the same person in any meaningful sense. His conclusion was uncomfortable. In some real ways, you are not. But his insight points somewhere useful. If your future self is, in some sense, a different person, then how you treat them is a choice you are making right now. An ethical choice. A question of what kind of person you are towards someone who cannot yet speak for themselves. The work you keep postponing is not just a task. It is a letter to someone who is waiting on you. And they have been waiting for a very long time. Maybe later is not a pause. It is a decision. Every time you say it, you are choosing, quietly, without drama, who you will not yet become. The question is not whether you have time. The question is whether the person waiting on the other side of your hesitation is worth showing up for. They are. If this stayed with you, our exploration of why we self-sabotage the things we want most is the next conversation worth having. It's right here,